So a couple of weeks back, Jack mentioned this in one of his videos.
When we were moving into this new place, I wanted to get a picture that was like this of me, Evelyn, and BB together. I wanted a picture like that of like me looking out in almost this exact outfit, Evelyn in a similar one, and then BB in the middle in an exact same outfit with like the puffy collar and everything, because he has that like big mane. And I wanted to get a picture like that done, and I searched a ton of places for it to get like a commission done.
And that brings us to this video. I'm going to be taking you guys through the process of painting this commission for Jack, and also sharing some of the thought processes I had while doing this painting. So let's jump right in. So before starting on this painting, I had to go through a lot of reference material, like a lot of Victorian portraits, how they did the posing, how they did the colors, what sort of style they used in these portraits, just to build up a lot of information before I started working on this. So since this one is a portrait, there's not much as far as composition goes. I just wanted a straight on composition with Jack standing and Gab sitting, which is usually how I noticed the Victorian portraits are done. And my plan for BB was to add him in the end on sort of like a royal stool, on a little bit of a cushion or something like that. So yeah, that'll be towards the end of the painting. You can see that I did some very loose lines, and I'm moving directly onto the painting. I really didn't want to waste time doing some really accurate line art, and if we run into some issues during the painting later, we're just going to fix it then. I'm going to be using some old-timey Victorian portraits as a base, and also for color palettes for different parts of the painting. So you can see I'm starting off with one as well. So for this initial part of the painting, I'm just going to be color picking off my reference artwork, and I'm just going to be laying down the base colors in different parts of the painting, focusing mainly on the skin tones as well as the colors of the attire. Fun fact, what they're wearing is actually the Canehurst night set from Bloodborne. So rather than working on a specific part of the painting, I really like to jump around and work on all things at the same time. This helps keep things fresh, and it's an easier way for me to work around the painting as a whole. So you can see here I just isolated the head of one of those reference artworks, and I'm just using that as a base for the colors for the skin tones here on Jack. Right now I'm just not going to be detailing anything at the moment. I'm just going to be laying down the colors, maybe just laying down the shape and following the line art that I've done previously to help just set things up before I go for the detailing part. So this ties into some of the previous tips that I've discussed in one of the other videos as well. You want to work usually from your largest shapes and work towards your smaller shapes. You also want to leave the details, the final details, the smaller details towards the end. And it's just better to work this way so that you don't get yourself distracted. And also, yeah, keep your canvas zoomed out when you work. So right now you can just see me move from one part of the painting to the other. I just want to lay down some colors. I just want to lay down the shapes at this moment. This is all just setting up for the final detailing part of the painting. I want to make sure I get the colors right. I want to make sure all the colors are cohesive. So you can see there's a lot of flecks, there's a lot of reds, there's a lot of yellows, sort of like those gold collars and the trims on the attire. You want to make sure all of those colors work uniformly as well. Usually color picking from a reference artwork like what I've done helps with that. The colors are very uniform in those paintings. Now, in a lot of Victorian portraits that I've checked of the men, they usually have their hands, one of their hands on their hips. So I just wanted to bring that into this painting. So I had Jack have one of his hands on the hip and one that goes sort of like it's behind the chair that Gab is sitting on. Initially, I even thought of maybe having the hand on the chair, but then I thought maybe I'll just have the hand behind the chair because BB is gonna come in the front, and maybe that's just the hand might disappear there. So rather than doing that, I just thought I'll put it behind. At this point, I just wanted to isolate Gab and work on her separately because it was a little bit distracting with all the other colors in there. So I've just isolated her from the rest of the painting. I want to put her on a separate layer. I wanted to separate her line art layer as well, so I just erased Jack from there, and I'm just going to work on her separately here. So since I've already laid in the colors, it's not going to be a lot different when I combine it with the rest of the image, even after I work on this separately. Right now I'm just going to fix up a lot of stuff. I'm just referencing a lot of pictures of ladies, and usually in these Victorian portraits, ladies usually are in a sitting position from what I've noticed. And in a lot of the other portraits that I referenced, I just saw that ladies had their hair sort of like tied up in maybe like a bun or something like that. But I wanted one part of the hair to be down and one part to be tied. I had an idea maybe I'll have some sort of flower or something like that on her hair. So yeah, I'll just set that up for the last part, I mean the detailing part of the painting. So right now I'm just going to be rendering out all of the entire part of it. Alright, so we've combined her with the rest of the image right now. So as you can see, colors work perfectly with the rest of the painting. I'm just going to bring in the chair, and I'm bringing in some other artworks to lay in some colors. I want to lay in some textures as well. I'm going to be raising off the parts that I don't need, add in some details in the background as well. I'm just going to jump in back to Jack, work on some detailing parts of the painting. You can see me using the liquify tool there. So liquify tool is a really easy way to just transform your artwork and correct proportions and stuff like that if you're already working on a combined layer. So with most of the painting work done on Geb and Jack, I just wanted to jump in and work on BB on a separate layer. So I've got the line art for BB right here. I wanted him to be sitting on some sort of like a cushion, and then that cushion being on some sort of like a stool or something like that. And you know, in the end he'll have some sort of like a ruffed collar and then maybe a little cape or something like that. So that was the main idea going into this part of the painting. I'm just bringing in some other artworks to get the real color scheme for BB as well. He has a lot of browns, a lot of light browns on his face and some specific markings on his face that I was just referencing from some pictures. So he has like really light for around his eyes and some markings on top of the head and near the eyes as well. So I just wanted to get those correctly so that we get the real likeness for BB right here. So to do the collar for BB, I just went with something really simple. So I brought in another artwork that had the ruffed collar, painted it over, and so that it follows the light and the color scheme for the painting as a whole. The lighting situation for this painting isn't really complicated. You're not going to see any harsh shadows, no harsh highlights, because it's mostly just a really ambient sort of light that sort of feel that I've gone for this painting. So I'm just going to reflect that in all the characters as well as BB and all the attire and all of those things as well. So after I've painted in BB and just checked where he's gonna go, I'm just gonna keep that layer for the time being and finish up the details. So you can see for Jack, I wanted to finish up the attire, so I'm just bringing in some armor textures and I'm just gonna paint over that. Now I'm painting all of this with the mixer brush because I just want a mixture of colors in there so that it looks like a little bit of like armor, sort of like a gold trim, something like that. You can see me correcting some of the arm details as well because it was looking a little bit weird. And from here, like, yeah, it's just mostly detailing work. You can see me just go bouncing around everywhere and doing all of the details sometimes at the same time. You want to keep the details more to the focal point, so that's mostly where the face and the chest area is. So I'm just keeping the details focused there. Where the viewer doesn't look at much, you can just keep the details a little bit loose. So that's where maybe near the trouser areas and all, they're a little bit loose there. Now I'm just going to jump over to Gab here and I'm just going to detail out some parts of the attire for her because I'm kind of like okay with how far Jack's attire has gone, how far I've gone on the detailing there. For her, I just wanted the gown part of it to be more detailed, the skirt part of it on the bottom. There were some gauntlets that were going to go on her hands, some features of the arms, the hands as well. So you can see me just detailing out the sofas as well. So again, for most of these things I'm just using the mixer brush because I really want that color vibration in most of these things. Towards the end, I really wanted to add some Easter eggs into this one just to make it a little bit interesting. So you can see me just adding some tulips in here because Gab is from Netherlands. Tulips are the national flower of Netherlands, so I'm just adding in some really cool details like that. I'm adding in the heterochromia she has in her eyes. So you can see the right eye has a lighter shade of brown, the left eye has a darker shade of brown. So I'm just adding in something here as well. This is a part of her tattoo. That's one of the tattoos she has, I mean. So even on the sofa you can see me adding some details that are like sort of like a tribute to some tattoo she has. So for this painting on the background, I just wanted to add something really cool. Geb has a dark beast tattoo and Jack has the hunter's mark as a tattoo. So I just really wanted to add that in as well. So I'm just using a dark beast painting of mine for that, and I'm just painting in the hunter's mark there as well. You can see me adding another really cool Easter egg in here that's supposed to be anti. So that's another really cool tribute I just wanted to add in there. So I'm just doing more details here, the Sam, and I've added BB back in here. I'm just gonna erase the white parts of the crop that are there, or else it's just gonna look really weird. Really referencing some pictures of BB and just adding in those marks as accurately as possible. You want to add in those whiskers and those little details really make the painting, so don't forget those whenever you do your painting. Now that we have all of the three elements in our painting, I really just want to go for making everything cohesive and work together so that nothing is looking like it's just popping out or nothing looks strange in the painting. And towards the end of the painting, I'm just going to be adding the really final details like the eyes for BB. I'm just adding in some light to him so that he's just a little bit standing out from the background because some of those reds were really clashing with the background. And you can see me doing some selective color adjustments here. You can find this selective color adjustments panel on the bottom of your layers panel, and from here I'm just going to be messing with some of these colors. I'm actually bringing in some colors like cyan and magenta back into the blacks. I'm just messing with the mid tones, I'm messing with the white tones. I'll probably make make a video in the future regarding this in detail so that you guys can also do this. This is a really cool thing actually when you're finishing off your painting to do that, because it just brings the entire painting together and just helps you color correct everything. You can see me also messing with some of the exposure settings like offset as well as gamma. So what offset does, it decreases that black so that you get that really cinematic look, that finished painting look. And to really finish off this painting, I'm using the stamp pattern tool. So this one is just to get that really fine canvas look. You can see that one right here, like it really looks like it's painted on a canvas. So yeah, that's about it for this painting. I hope you guys like the process. I hope you like the thought that went into this one as well. I'm sorry for the voice, I'm really having a bad cold. I'm gonna be back with another video real soon, so I'll see you guys in a bit.